Today, we are going on a secret journey. We're going to follow a single tiny pill as it navigates the incredibly complex world inside your body to find its exact target and get its job done.
I mean, it's a great question, right? It almost feels like magic. How does it know where to go? Well, it's not magic, it's actually a fascinating science. And today, we're going to break down exactly how that little pill pulls it off.
The science behind all of this is called pharmacology. You can think of it as the official rulebook for how drugs and our bodies interact. And it's all split into two key principles that are going to explain this entire story.
All right, so meet our two main characters, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Pharmacokinetics, that comes from the Greek word for to move, is all about the drug's journey. It's everything your body does to the drug. Then you have pharmacodynamics, from the Greek word for power, and that's the drug's mission. It's what the drug actually does to your body. So let's start with the journey.
Okay, so our drug molecule, our tiny hero for this story, has been given its mission. But before it can save the day, it has to get past the front door. It has to get into the system. We're going to follow the path that most of us are familiar with, what's known as the enteral route, which really just means swallowing a pill. But believe me, from this very simple start, the journey gets way more complex.
And right away, our pill faces its first major hurdle: absorption. The drug has to break free from the pill itself and somehow get into the body's main transportation network, the bloodstream.
So after a quick stop in the stomach, the drug gets into the small intestine. And this is where it gets its big break. Because the surface area here is just massive. We're talking about 200 square meters. All those folds make it the absolute prime location for the drug to get absorbed into the body.
So how does it actually make that jump? Well, for most drugs, it's pretty simple. They use something called passive diffusion. They basically just drift from where there's a lot of them in your gut to where there's less of them in your blood. Easy. Others need a special shuttle service, which is called active transport, and that actually uses energy. And then a few really tiny molecules can just slip right through small pores. But hang on, before the drug can get to the rest of the body, it has to make a mandatory stop at the liver. Now, the liver acts like a tough security checkpoint, and it actually metabolizes and inactivates a portion of the drug right away. This is called the first pass effect, and it's the reason why the dose you take is always carefully calculated to make up for this initial loss.
All right, it's cleared the liver checkpoint, and our drug molecule is now officially in the bloodstream. This kicks off the distribution phase. It's now traveling the body's superhighway system to basically every corner of your body. And this brings us back to our original question and a really critical revelation. The drug doesn't have a GPS. It doesn't know your head hurts. It just goes almost everywhere the blood goes. And that right there is the key to understanding side effects. They often happen because the drug is visiting parts of the body that aren't its main target.
Now, while the drug gets a general access pass to most of your tissues, some areas are strictly off-limits. Your brain, for example, is protected by the blood-brain barrier. You can think of it as a high-security zone. The capillaries there are sealed tight with no pores, so only very specific types of molecules can get a pass to get inside. And all of this traveling finally brings us to the climax of our story: pharmacodynamics. Our drug molecule has traveled all over the body. It's near its target, and now it's time to see how it actually performs its mission. The secret? It all comes down to these things called receptors. Think of them as tiny, specially shaped protein locks on your cells. A drug molecule is like a key, and it's designed to fit perfectly into a specific lock. So here's the answer. Even though the drug goes everywhere, it only acts where it finds its matching lock. But here's a really cool part. Not all keys work the same way. An agonist is a key that fits, turns, and actually unlocks an action. Think of a pain reliever turning on a receptor to block pain signals. An antagonist, on the other hand, is a key that fits the lock perfectly, but it just jams it. It doesn't start an action itself, it just blocks the body's own natural keys from getting in and doing their job. Okay, so mission accomplished. The drug found its target, it did its thing. But it can't just hang around in the body forever, right? So now we enter the final phase, getting it out of the body.
And look who's back to work: the liver. Through a process called biotransformation, the liver's enzymes get busy converting drugs that are fat-soluble into a water-soluble form. And this step is absolutely critical for the final exit.
You might be asking, why is that so important? Well, it's because our body's main exit route is through the kidneys, which filter our blood to make urine. Now, water-soluble things are easily filtered out, but fat-soluble things, they would just get reabsorbed right back into the blood. So by making them water-soluble, the liver is essentially tagging them for a one-way trip out of the body.
The speed of this whole cleanup process determines a drug's half-life. It's a term you probably heard before. It's simply the time it takes for your body to get rid of half of the drug. And this concept directly affects you. It's the whole reason you might take one pill every 4 hours, but another one just once a day.
So, we've followed this entire incredible journey from start to finish. But why is understanding this whole intricate process so important for your own health?
Well, it's because this journey isn't the same for everyone, not even close. Your age, your genetics, any underlying diseases, and especially other drugs you might be taking, they can all change the story. They can speed up, slow down, or interfere with this process at any stage, which is exactly why medicine has to be so personalized.
So, it's not magic. It's a precisely calculated journey, a highly targeted mission, and a complex cleanup operation, all happening inside you every time you take a pill. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's really behind every pill sitting in your medicine cabinet?